the fun. We're bringing the thunder. We are Funder. Flesh and blood down under. Woo! We are in the beautiful America. We're here in the United States, in California, San Jose, with the one and only Man Sant. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, look, next to you, Paul, I feel like Boy Sant again. So a little intimidated, but yes, I'm here. This is insane.
He is Boy Sant in person.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Okay, look, I am small. I'm sorry. I don't have quite the shoulder blades you're hoping for, I know. But it is really fun to be here with you already. This is only my first night in San Jose, and we're already here. Crazy.
I've got goosebumps. Like, who would have thought Funder's only been going a short amount of time? Is this episode 20, maybe 21?
21, I think.
21.
By the way, we should call it season 2 now. This is the start of season 2.
Season 2?
Season 2, America.
Yeah.
Right?
And
because we've recorded 20 episodes in Australia. Mm-hmm. Let's try and do 20 episodes in America. I don't know if we'll have time.
Don't know if
this
we'll do
weekend.
Ooh, we'll try. We'll do Ethan 10 times.
I'm not that kind of content. Oh, I'm sorry.
And Man Sant's our first guest, so welcome. This is Tuesday night before Worlds, the first ever Flesh and Blood World Championship, where we will see the first ever Flesh and Blood World Champion be crowned in just a few days'
Matthew
time.
Folks, who are we rooting for?
I'm rooting for a lot of people, baby.
That was quick. You know you're champion, I guess.
That was a question mark. It was a question mark. Yeah.
Ooh, well, I can't root for myself.
Are you playing Worlds?
I will be playing
Root for
Worlds.
yourself. Are you playing Levia?
I'm rooting for the League of Levia. If I take home this win, it's because the people behind me. It's not.
Okay.
It's not me. I haven't personally put the prep.
Now, I'll ask the question this way to you, Tall Timmy. Pick a hero, pick a person, pick a country. I don't care, but who do you think wins?
I think someone's going to win that might not be a household name.
Fair?
Okay.
Undiscovered talent.
But not necessarily.
Not as recognized.
Not as recognized. I have a feeling just because we are testing all disciplines, this is the true gauntlet. We're doing blitz, we're doing classic instructed, we're doing draft. There's people coming from all over the world, people that we haven't seen at the first 2 Pro Tours that have saved their PTIs for this event.
That's true too.
You know, so we could get some surprises.
James said he's expecting 2,000 people to come through the doors. Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow, goosebumps. I don't know if you
if
feel
we
that?
get 2,000 people, 2,500 people through the doors, so it's 300 or 400 playing Worlds. What was the number?
Maybe 400 sounds about right, but don't quote me.
13 Aussies and I think 14 Aussies. Yep, I'm
150
making up the numbers.
150 Americans.
None of them will make top 8.
Hot take.
But look, I've always wondered. You've probably told this story before, but I need to go deep on it. I don't want to let this go. Why Levia? Like really, truly, why? What about her captured your imagination?
Can you say that in the right tone? Why Levia?
Like what?
Well, first of all, why Levia? And then you can say it. Then you can propose the question.
No, it's Levia.
You can ask James when you get him on. Ask
I have
him how
heard
he
the
says
official answer.
And it is Levia?
No. It's either.
It's either. Oh,
because neither of them are wrong.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Very
Levia, Levia is pronunciation. It's not like
Well, there is the word Leviathan. And you can't say...
Leviathan?
Levia.
You'd be surprised. Australians can butcher all sorts of pronunciations. Our pronunciation has no rhyme, no reason, doesn't make sense.
What has someone described like the reason Americans get our accents with the English mixed up is we just sound like drunk English people. Like that's how Aussies speak by default. But anyway, why Levia?
Well, look, I think if anyone thinks about just flavor wins in the game of Flesh and Blood, it really has to be Levia that comes to mind because there's something about her thematically that is just really all-encompassing in her gameplay, even to the point where something like blocking with a card is not just this is block value. You can almost think of it like I am blocking with my minions. This is a hungering slaughter beast. This is an endless maw that I'm throwing in the way of this attack. That's cool. I mean, that's already that's so much cooler than thinking of like a Bolton who's like, okay, here's my like Lumina Ascension that I'm blocking with. How does that make sense? You're not actually blocking with a Lumina Ascension. You're just blocking with a card that says 3. But in Levia, there's little things like that.
I meant
that
like
just feel really good.
The turning of blood, like Levia has to block. to play her
yes,
deck.
yes.
That's what I mean. She's one of the decks that if you don't let her block, it's a problem for
Oh,
her. Like
yeah.
she just runs out of. She can't banish 3 cards and get plus damage, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
she has issues. Don't need to remind me. I'm well aware of them.
So it's flavor. Like
It's
you're saying,
flavor.
it's
It's
flavor.
flavor.
So I'm gonna continue with that thought in my head. If the real true reason why you're such a Levia stalwart and why you're so passionate about her, that means you're a Timmy, right? Like essentially, you put flavor and passion and your imagination before winning, before competitive, before playing the best deck. Like, and that is one trait of a Timmy. I know you might not like to admit it,
look.
but everyone's got a little bit of Timmy in them.
I wish I had wholeheartedly accepted this Timmy title earlier. I'm not super familiar even with like the magic things because that's what
That's
from,
where
like,
that's where it
Timmy's
came
type.
from. But it's sort of
that.
transcended
Okay.
magic. It's it's a persona you could really attach to anything, whether it's in gaming or life itself.
Rudy
Well,
uses it a lot
yeah.
to describe people that like think they'll quadruple their money every time they buy a box and put it under their bed, kind of thing.
That's a Timmy.
That's a Timmy,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That's me.
He does. He has like tries to get a box of everything and puts it away. He's hunting. Shout out. We need some. Still, you need French,
Yes.
German,
No. Got that.
Spanish, Italian.
Yes. One of each.
Black label, please, vendors.
Not Kate. I'm not a Spike. I don't need a case. Just give me a box, baby. I don't care if you've already got the Marvel. Just give me just give me a box. I don't care.
well, look, when I hear Timmy, I think of you immediately. So that's all positive connotations. So yeah, I'll take the Timmy title, sure.
But
sure,
like
Paul.
it's not inherently like the most. Even though you've had astonishing results with it, don't get me wrong. And I do think if more people were playing Levia, there'd be a lot more results. Like I'm a big thing of that, right? Why certain rogue decks don't do so well is because you just don't have a critical number of people playing the deck, so it's not fully
to help with the variance, because
Yeah.
sometimes you just lose because you lose, right?
You don't
Yes,
have
you
enough
do.
great minds putting in effort into coming up with innovation in a deck that's often overlooked. So I think to myself that, like something within you likes playing that rogue deck.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's been things in my like past game. I've flipped through some different games in my life, like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, X-Wing, and I've always been attracted to the deck that seemed like the least refined, the deck that needed some more dedication, and it was discounted like a bit too early. I wouldn't necessarily call it always like the like, you know, D tier deck or like the underpowered deck. It was just what fit that vein. What's the archetype that people just discount? And I just want to see what it can do. And it was a bit different actually in Flesh and Blood for me, because when I started playing the game, I was in my own little bubble in the US, as most of our communities were here, when Monarch was just dropping. And of those new heroes, I just wasn't aware Levia was even the bad one. I liked it because of the flavor. Like initially that was the buy-in for me. But as I found the larger Flesh and Blood scene and realized, whoa, like she is that deck. She's that kind of thing that I've liked to do in other games. This is my hero. Like, we're just going to stick with it.
so you like a challenge?
Yeah.
as well.
Oh yeah. Deck building is such a huge part of card games and why I like them.
I think part of it is there's always that inherent. I don't think there's usually okay. I think the best deck, and James White sort of hinted at this the other day, that the best deck is probably Kano. Like that's the one that they feel underperformed since launch. Like, but that's because internally they're big Kano fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what Jason Chung plays, who's arguably the better player or the best player they have on the dev team.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Newson. He's better than you, mate. He beat you. And so I think like decks like Kano might have the highest possible outcome, but much harder to pilot. So the best deck becomes something that's reasonably easy to pilot and learn. And then you get these big brain people that put like they perfect it or they. But I think because misplays can cost you so much, like Kano, you misplay, you die. Like a lot of times you're actually on one when you kill someone. It doesn't. What I'm saying is, because Dory is a bit similar. People jumped off the Dory bandwagon that used to play it, so there's no more refining happening. But when you play it, it's like, wait, why did people put this in D tier? It's not D tier. I still don't drop matches into Phi. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh
like,
yeah, it's super.
I think Levia is probably one of those two. Is it's not the simplest deck to just put together. And like, it's not super complicated, but the deck building part is quite tricky
Well-
because there's blood dirt and no blood dirt. There's brute stuff and none. Like, it's got a lot happening where you need reps and you need to dedicate yourself a little bit. Kano's like one of those decks. If you don't like, shout out to Pietro from Italy who won Italian nationals. He's in town soon, a few days, with his dad. But anyway, he said like he hadn't played Kano in like 2 months. He can't play it anymore. Like, he needs to put in another like 30, 40 games just to get back in the habit of like the decisions, you know? I think Levia is probably similar. You got to play it. Like, you can't. Briar's not. Fire's not.
Well, if you want someone to speak about Levia, you're talking to the right person. I can't speak for the Kano trees, decision trees. I know they're beyond me for sure. I just like you're saying, I don't try with that deck because I respect the complexity of it, and I don't think I could ever spike an event with it. But the thing about Levia that makes her complicated is mostly because of basically like the hot seat that you're in with every decision you make. On your own turn, you're probably only taking like one action. You most of the time, you know, are swinging for your big attack, or maybe if it's a larger turn, you have like one go again that you're playing with. But that's not the choice. That's not the choice that makes Levia. Is just what attack do I play? The choice that makes Levia is timing of your first banish, like what you're playing for in Arsenal, what you need to block around for, protecting certain life thresholds to pivot games when you have better hands, because not every Levia hand is a good hand. So saving life early maybe is like a huge deal. Even if you thought you had a good hand early, doesn't matter. Save the life when you can, because you might have the non-block hand later, like on and on. There's so many things in Levia that are overwhelmingly punishing if you don't execute correctly. And in the moment, it's not even necessarily about making the correct choice. It's about making the informed choice over all the Levia games you've played to say, look, this hand, it might feel right, but I know the larger game here.
Yeah.
I know the punishment of this is my last Red Screamer. What happens if I block with it? I lost my go again. You know, like it's a resource game on every level with Levia. And that's what makes her so addicting. Yeah.
I love hearing about those nuances, and often they're overlooked. Like, Flesh and Blood is more than just playing your hand, attack, block. What card am I attacking?
Depends
with
on
this
the
turn?
deck.
But no, I don't know. I think every deck, like if you go deep enough,
Yes.
if you really become a mastercraft like Ethan is of that deck, like a real master, this is how deep your thoughts can get, and your big pictures, like you said, life thresholds. You know what's important. When do you turn on the gas? Turn off the gas. When do you pivot? And then not understand your deck, but understand every other deck and what their potential is at any point in the game. Seeing a sideboard card and going, oh, geez, that's their straight. You know, like you can. That's why we all love this game, right? It's just so complex. There's so much depth to it.
But I think the most underrated skill in Fab is sticking to a deck. Like, I don't think you can master all of them. I think you can pilot all of them, but I don't think you can. Like, you know, a lot of these top players, which will go unnamed. I'm not trying to pick on anyone that don't have a deck decided till the day before an event, and they're switching between 4 decks. I also see those same players not always, like, they're not as consistent as some others that seem to stick with, they play in Ice Heroes. Like, they'll go between Oldham and Iceland. Like, have a similar type of strategy, at least they're playing. You got Josh Lau, he's a warrior player. Like, he'll switch between Bolton and Dory, but it's not like he's not testing Briar, whether it's the best deck or not best. Because I think the game, so Blitz, 100% I feel comes down to like more luck, but then there's very specific misplay moments or decision moments where if you mess them up, you lose the game, which have more to do with your opponent's deck. Is like, should I block or not block is probably what loses you a Blitz game. But CC is, which we talked about recently on Thunder, is it's all micro games. It's the same game as Blitz. You just get more turns, but each turn can lose you the game. Like, it's the same thing. You still have to get those decisions right. And you're way better doing that if you've got 10,000 hours in your deck, because you at least have refined those decisions, so you can focus on deciding what the enemy's like in response to enemy stuff rather than trying to find your line.
Right, but that's still what makes Levia almost frustrating, is her ceiling in making those decisions can never really be reached because there is variance at play in some of it. And that's where, you know, the results by not just me, but like the really good Levias out there just come and go. Like there is not the singular Levia who goes to every event and wins it. And it's because of the hero. It's like, it's at that point with Levias
because of the
specifically,
class.
it's
Brutes are inherently a bit more random than the
Do
rest.
you like
right?
that though? Are you a sucker for punishment? Like,
No,
but
I'm
do you
not.
like that variance? Are you sure?
No,
Is
I
it not addictive? Is there part of you that subconsciously likes that?
God no. It
Really?
is- that is the most frustrating part of Levia is what ties me to her is more, like I was saying, the thematics of this hero. I don't get a single shred of enjoyment when I'm playing a deck like Phi and I'm like, I'm throwing a Phoenix Flame at you. Like, who
Yep.
cares? Who cares? This idea of, you know, I'm summoning, it's almost like you're a necromancer with Levi. Like, I'm summoning an endless maw and like this shit is attacking you. Like that's what it is. I visualize it so much better for Levia, and I love the flavor win. And what I really am addicted to more than anything is the confusion my opponents have over a deck that's just raw damage. They freak out. They freak out. Like, what is this effect? What's coming in? I'm
Yeah, there's
bro,
like
bro,
no
bro,
on
it's
hits.
6.
Nearly,
It's
yeah.
6 damage. I banished 3. I turned
That's
off
awesome.
blood debt. Like, but what? So like, what's it doing? What's the hit effect? There isn't one. Like, oh my god, it's like playing with my opponent is so much fun. Like, look, it's not. I don't treat them like they're dumb, but it's always surprising that I'm playing against, even this weekend at Denver, amazing players, amazing worlds level players, and they've never in their life read Endless Maw. And it's like, that's the best card in Levia, and you don't know what it does.
It gets you excited when opponents
Yeah.
read your cards, right?
I love.
Yeah.
You like that, don't
I
you?
love
I
getting
do
my.
like that. Like, that's the addictive process.
Yeah.
The part I don't enjoy is when what they recognize is my 1 into a 1, and they get all smug about it. That's like the one thing they can tell what's going on with. I roll a 1 into 1, I'm like, right, take 15 blood debt, pass. And they just get all giddy. Like, don't get excited for that. Come on. Like, it's the worst thing that could happen.
What's
to
the
me.
most blood debt you've ever taken in a turn?
Okay, here. I took 23 blood debt at Denver Battle Hardened against an Oldham and won.
And you won.
This weekend.
That's how much of a life
I
advantage
took-
you had.
Well, because no one quite knows how to play into
Yeah.
her. And in this meta in particular, there are decks that are very adaptive. Oldham, very adaptive. Icelander, very adaptive. Phi, no. But, like that, you know, Dromai as well. There are decks right now that need to know the opponent's game plan. And Levia is that point of confusion. What is she doing? Because there's also multiple ways to play her.
Yes.
Shout out to the League of Levia, like always brewing crazy shit. Like, you know, there's communities out there. I think he's in Sweden. There's a dude who's diehard for Hexagore. And like, so the local players are scared of Hexagore Levia. And then here I am, I play like Recursion Levia. And not everywhere I go, but you know, people are scared normally of like Recursion Levia. But then you've got Vasily out in Greece playing full aggro Levia, and people are scared of aggro Levia. You've got people on Control Levia, and people are scared of Control Levia. Like, you know, it's so regional because there's barely any concentration of Levia players. We're all just like, you know, one per our little areas. And that adds to confusion at these big events because no one prepped for them to begin with. But then you also don't know what exposure they've even had to Levia. What flavor was it, right? It's so cool. I love it.
Was Levi your first fab deck?
No. My first fab deck was Chain because I got into the game with, you know, quick pitch at my LGS. Like, here's some Blitz decks. Here's this new game. Like, let's give it a go. And my friend, actually, we were both working at the LGS at the time. I was doing mostly the Pokemon events. He was doing all the Magic events. And we're like, hey, let's try this. And he picked up the Levia deck. I picked up the Chain deck. And we didn't quite get it, so we played with the store owner instead, who was on Prism. And I played Chain into Prism. And he just blocked me out, and I ran out of cards, and I was like, this game sucks. And then I saw him, my friend on Levia, play into Prism, and he won. And I was like, okay, trade me this deck or I'm quitting the game. Like, I don't want to play Chain. And meanwhile, he was like, it's like Dredge, I get it, this, that, whatever. So we swapped decks. I picked up Levia, won into Prism, opened a box, pulled Doomsday, and was just like,
The
sold,
rest is
sold.
history.
Sold. I mean, Doomsday remains one of the most unique mechanics
Yes.
in the game.
I
I mean,
hate
Dromai's
seeing
out
it.
now, but
I
it's-
hate seeing it.
Yeah.
So is Levia, is she more, no, I shouldn't phrase it this way. Okay. This is probably the better way of me getting an answer out of you. Do you think you have more of a chance, in a vacuum, not going by record or opponents, 5-0ing the constructed portion with Levia at Worlds, or 5-0ing the Blitz portion?
No way in Blitz. No freaking way in Blitz. Like, you talk
Okay.
about variance in Blitz, right?
So it's a
And Levia has, like, any small hiccup in Levia is already insanely frustrating to get over because there are things you can't control, like banishing 3 misses. If you had exactly 3 misses and 10 hits, whatever it is, like, those kind of things can come up because it's not possible to construct your deck with pure 6s. Like, so like that can be a thing that can go wrong. And in CC, you can sometimes come back. You can also draw a hand that's like pure non-blocks, which also is just kind of like a brute thing that you can't really fix right now. You can also just run into a hand that doesn't turn off Blood Debt naturally, because that's the other problem. Not every card can turn off Blood Debt. And in CC, you run into a hiccup, and you actually feel the power of Blood Debt in your ability to recover from a hiccup. Because it's not like game ending. In CC, you can normally get through a hurdle like that, like taking 23 Blood Debt against an Oldhim. It doesn't work against aggro, to be fair. But you can feel that Levia was designed around like having enough numbers to put you in a good enough spot to then deal yourself a bit of a hit and still be in that game, which is incredible. But in Blitz, you don't get it. In Blitz, you take even 1 Blood Debt, you feel like the game's over. It's awful.
It's too tight.
It's really tight.
I mean, Dory has to build counters. You don't have enough time to soak damage to build it. Like, you don't have. So once I have counters on the Dawnblade, I don't want to block. The counters are worth more, but you don't have that option in Blitz. 2 turns in, you have to block. There's no point trying to get counters.
Right. And the other issue with Blitz right now is I think, people have obviously put a lot of testing in because of Worlds coming up. People know Chain is pretty darn good as like the premier aggro deck right now, especially with Fi getting Link Spanned, and you do not want to play Chain into Levia. It is awful. It makes you want to quit the game because for whatever reason, Chain has a card called Invert Existence.
Yes.
That makes your existence inverted as a Levia player. Like, you cease to be at that table playing the game. You are probably off skulking in the bathroom. Like, it's awful.
If Levia didn't suffer from Blood Debt, would she be the best hero in the game?
God, yes.
Already living legend,
The cards
easily
are overpowered.
Yeah,
because
that's what I
they
mean.
have
Like,
that,
if there was no Blood Debt attached to her, it just game over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, like, you want to see some amazing Levia games, really look at what came out of Denver last week. And I was on stream twice against Kano, who did top 8. So there you go. But also against a really well-known American Bravo player, Edward Knight. Shout out to him. And if you want to see like why Levia is insane, watch that kind of game. Because there are... I even went over on stream, talked about like kind of the play-by-play, what I'm thinking about. You start to see the crazy rate of why Levia is nuts. When you even compare like, Bravo's consistency of my 2-card hand is like an Anothos for 6. Like, that's pretty good. Levia's 2-card hand, in a perfect
Could be like
world,
18 or something.
Not a 2-card hand. It could be 9 with Endless Maw. It could be 10 with Dread Screamer Ghostly. And turn by turn, it doesn't seem huge, but when in a mid-range game like against a Bravo, you're taking the game long, and you see, oh my god, like, how many 2-card hands did I turn into a better rate than the Bravo? How many 4-card hands did I turn into a better rate than the Bravo?
Yep.
And so in a longer game, you see this crazy pounding that starts to outvalue and puts Levia really in that spot you want to be in Fab, where it's presenting lethal first, being overwhelming first. And even in that game, I took I think 6 Blood Debt and missed an Endless Maw +3. And I still won. And it still feels like this onslaught like it should be. I mean, I'm a villain, misunderstood villain. Levia is not me. Sorry, projecting. Levia is this misunderstood villain who's summoning her legions and should make you feel scared. You shouldn't look at her like a joke. And so without Blood Debt, she'd be gone already. 1,000%.
Your match, well done, against Pablo Pintor
Yes.
in the Gauntlet.
Better example, yes.
Is that like a great example of just high roll Levia? Is that like true powerhouse, high roll, high ceiling, like showcasing her raw power?
That, I think, was probably the most high rolly game I've ever played.
Wow.
It's okay. First of all, that draw sequence was almost scary. It almost looked like I stacked the deck, and I got worried about that. I'm like, well, okay, but like, we rolled dice for the beast within.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not setting that up. It just happened that way. But when you see a deck that's playing Rouse mid-combat chain, triggering, like, what deck is doing that other than Levia? Like, literally, it's just not possible. Levia has these ceilings that are incredibly, incredibly powerful. They're just very inconsistent. You're never building your deck to be like, yeah, I'm going to hit every beast within off of pulping. No, it's just not. It's not in your control. But it can happen. And that's her only shot into aggro, honestly, is playing into high roll, because you need, in an aggro matchup, to just end the game faster than they do. And the only time you're going to get that damage ceiling is with high rolling in a short game. Because like I said, her power isn't in that. Her power is in the actual printed value that you're going to get in a long game, card by card by card. But in an
if you had a
game,
limitless deck, you should be able to outtrade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your cards are just so strong, and you've got recursion.
Yeah.
Like, I love playing recursion.
I feel like Dora is the opposite. It's like some of the lowest value cards on their own, but if you can somehow get a counter, add a counter. So your normal turn, if I swing twice, is 6, 3, 3. But then it becomes, the next turn is 4, 4. I can get it 5, 5, right? But the card inherently, 1 for 3. Everything's 3. Everything's 3 damage. It does nothing. They're so easy to like play around. That's why I think my spoiler is so cracked. We were talking over dinner. That one counter is everything. It's everything. I get past some stuff. You can't just throw a card at me or 2 cards at me. It's the numbers don't work. But it's like the opposite. The printed value on Dory, like when you look at the Talishar stats, like average damage a turn threatened is like 7. But then if you get 3 counters on the Dawnblade, it's so much more efficient than every other deck. You just have to find a way to get there. And so what you're saying is Levia plays into trying to spread the game out. You don't want to rush.
No, you're just not made for it.
But you're also like, your blood debt's chasing you. The longer the game goes, the more likely you are to just die to it if you get unlucky. Which is like
that's the balancing act. Like it's really cool. It's well done.
It theoretically couldn't go forever because eventually you just one shot yourself.
Yes. There isn't a true recursion piece. There isn't like a weapon that turns it off. So eventually
there's a
you'll get to
helmet
0.
that does just banishes a card, right, and draw.
No,
but that's the closest thing to a guaranteed not take blood debt.
Yes.
Is that your methodology, though, you mentioned into aggro to outrace them? Like, is that what you do against aggro? You don't try and bring in D-reacts, you're just trying to race them?
That is a dangerous, dangerous line to thread because, that might be what a non-Levia player's brain jumps to immediately. Aggro, run D-reacts. But Levia needs to care about her 6 concentration. She needs to care about hands that turn off blood debt, right? You start to add cards like Sink Below, Fate Foreseen.
They do nothing.
They block well, but in most scenarios, they don't do what Levia needs to do. And that is, filling the graveyard with a non-6 that's now at risk of any time you try to play aggressive, missing that banish. Now you're more likely to draw a hand that doesn't turn off blood debt, and it's a problem. Like that does suck about her. You don't get the true flexibility in being able to block super well, especially because late game you have to turn off blood debt. You'll never get the chance, even against like a Dory, to say, "Oh God, okay, full block."
Yeah.
Reset. You can't.
No, that's right. Levia, I love playing into Levia for that. I will get counters because
I love playing into Dory.
Because but it's not a one-sided thing. They'll let me get counters, but they still out-trade me. I usually die.
Yes, okay.
Because like if neither of us are blocking much, like if I'm blocking with 2 cards and you're blocking with 2 cards, you'll let me get counters, but I will die first. Unless you get unlucky. That's my experience.
Yes, unfortunately, there's always that. I mean, okay, like at Denver this weekend, across both days, I went 5-2, 5-2. So 14th bubbled out of the Battle Hardened, 11th bubbled out of the PTI event. But when I look at a record coming from a tournament that long, 7 rounds, I have to be really happy with 5-2 because you're going to take about 1 in every 5 games, just a loss to variance. You have to accept that. It's always built in. I say about 1 in every 5 is when it comes up. And then you also have to just accept you're not the best deck. Like, you can't beat everything, so you'll take a loss. But probably just 1.
If you can
right?
win
like
everything
if you're good
else.
enough. If you're good enough. So coming out of 7 rounds at 5-2, I'm like, oh, God, yeah. Like,
what's
that's
the percentage?
awesome.
It's very high.
But
Like,
the problem is
percentage.
it's not good enough for the cut. Right.
Well, so roping that back into all our Pro Tour winners, Nationals winners, like that's something you can compare to poker as well. There is an element of luck. The best player in the room just has more luck on their side is the best way to look at it sometimes. Like, because there's variance in your own deck, like drawing, you can theoretically draw 12 blues in a row and not do anything. It's happened to me on Dory. I've drawn 4-4-2 blues. It happened. Like, it's possible to happen. It's
Yes.
not fun when but whatever, one chance in 1,000 that happens, it just does. Same as like Reinar's rolling ones and then cracking gamblers and rolling one again. Like, the chances.
I've done that lots
by the
of
way,
times.
it should
Many
never
times.
scare
This
you
weekend.
doing it, because the chances of that happening are very slim, but it can happen.
Yep.
What I'm saying is, though, there's also the matchup variance. Like, of all the heroes in the pool, you still want favorable matchups. There's much worse matchups that you want to try and avoid. But yeah, I think it's understated that, and the skill of not tilting after losing to variance is probably
I don't have
no. But look at like the top players, the temperaments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Pablo's one of those people. He lost his first 2 matches in Jersey. He just kept playing. Like, I know players that dropped.
Oh yes.
After they lost the first 2, they dropped. Aussie players are like, nah, fuck it. Like, I'm not going to win. The guy won.
Yeah.
Like, that itself is probably harder than piloting a deck, is to go, all right, next. Like, after losing your first 2. Imagine, yeah.
But it is rough with Levia because it's so much more detrimental to have the bad luck,
Yeah, 'cause
because
you
it's
hit
basically
yourself.
instant loss.
Yeah.
And the issue with that is it makes you question, like, why do we play 5 turns? Like, why do we even start this game if I just instant lost? And that, like, it's not excusable, but your deck can just make that happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Where the game just is completely gone, irrecoverably gone,
Yeah.
because of blood debt. And that is zero.
Yeah, because
0%
everything you
fun.
worked for 5 turns,
Just
13 damage, or like life advantage just disappears.
Well, 5's even sure. I think 5 I wouldn't tilt, but there have been long games. Like actually, this was even on stream at Nationals the first year running. I played against a Prism, and the game's in the bag. This guy doesn't know the matchup. I'm playing it really tight. I have like 15 cards in the graveyard. I have exactly 3 misses. Exactly 3. I can't help it. The misses are like a Doomsday. Of course, I'm running Doomsday. The miss is like a Gambler's Glove, because I rolled a 1. I'm going to break Gambler's Glove. And like an Art of War or something, because like, yes, I'm going to run that card. And so there's no greed in that. Like, they're just there because it's how the deck has to be. And out of everything in the graveyard, the 3 misses are picked, take 14 blood debt, game's over. And it's like, this is on stream, and I've been working my ass off to play an amazing game, trying to build up hype for this awesome hero, like crush a matchup that should be good for you, and getting people inspired to play this hero, and then instant loss. It's awful. It's awful. You can't get over it, really.
But that was a while
obviously
ago.
still not over it.
But your passion for her and the way that she captures your imagination, though, drags you out of that mindset, gets
Yes.
you back up off the floor to fight another day. And that's respectful.
So-
like, no matter how bad the beats are, you'll be coming back for more. You will dust it off. We saw on Alex's video, you're like, oh, I'm giving up on the... But you came back. You know, and I was like, whoa, it's like a phoenix reborn, you know. We can't knock him down. Rocky's back, you know. Like,
it's good to take breaks.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, I wouldn't recommend you only play one hero unless you're having fun. Like, if you feel like it's not fun, don't quit the hero, but definitely taking a break helped me. Like, I had to stop playing Dory when Stavo was a thing, or I would have quit the game. Like, I felt it. I was like, go into a matchup, lose 40-0, right? Like, that's not somewhere you want to be on your favorite. And you will quit the game because, like, it wasn't a money investment for me that made me, but even just the amount of money I've spent on my deck for it to feel like it's just a dog turd, like, doesn't do anything. Like, this Stavo deck that came out last week, the guy's hungover, sleeved it up this morning. This is not an exaggeration.
Oh, yeah. I
Just smashed me 40-0. I think it ended 38-0. Did 2 damage in a CC game on my best deck. I unsleeved it. I unsleeved my deck. I played Prism, and I won like 4 games, and I beat 2 Stavas. I'm like, all right, so it's just my deck, but it's not me. Then I was like, all right, I'll go back to playing Dory because I don't want to play Prism. You know? But I just accepted that, okay, I'm not a terrible player then, and my deck's not.
Well, I'm like stuck in that mindset perpetually because that's the thing, right? Like I'm talking about like the X2 being something you have to truly be happy about just by the way Levia plays. But I mull it over and I'm trying to think, okay, how do I not make it X2? Like if that is making me stuck, how do I not make it X2? And the answer is, well, I shouldn't have rolled a 1 and 2 1. But it's like, but that isn't fixable. Like I'm sorry, it isn't. So I am playing for like that miracle run that will happen one day.
Yep.
That's why I keep coming back because, there's a lot of low variance I deal with. Where's the tournament run with 0 of it? Come on. Like if it can be Worlds, please. Like how amazing that would be.
But that's when you want it. If you had to have your one moment of no variance, it would be Worlds.
Well, I hope I have your blessing.
But I do think that's a bigger portion than people give credit to. I think you have to play perfectly and get a little lucky to win Worlds. I don't think there's two ways about that.
And the Levia looks up front.
Because if you go and really like dig in and Philip Mackay, who is famous on this channel for his poetry, he does that. He digs deep. He goes and watches all the VODs. He's like, okay, I was on Lexi. This person was on Lexi, but look at their matchups and look what they drew. Like, if I drew that, I would have won the event.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you can see, like, it's tangible. You can look at those matchups. But then if you lose to misplaying, that's on you. But if that's not the thing making you go 5-2, then you just have to wait, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, the misplays can come up, but, I don't get hung up on them as much because I really take them as like, okay, that is never happening again. We're moving on. Like it's not going to happen again. Fixable. We're moving on. It's the part that I can't fix that hangs me up, and it's the variance. But so to answer your question from all this at the beginning, Paul, I hate the variance in Levia. Like it's the worst part.
By the way, that's the title of the podcast. Why Ethan Van Sant hates Levia.
But another thing I want to ask, like you talk about a lot about thresholds and resource systems, okay, with Levia. Like you got to, when it comes to deck building, sideboarding, you mentioned with D-reacts, so a new player might think, shit, I'm playing aggro, I need to jam in the D-reacts. Like, I don't want to give you to give away your secret sauce here. We are on the eve of Worlds. But do you have like formulas, checklists where you legitimately have like, or is it just intuitively feel? Or do you have formulas where I go, okay, I need X amount of this, X amount of that to build a deck. When I sideboard, I need to equalize. The formula needs to check out. Is there that much math or exacties that go into it? Or it's a bit of intuitiveness, a bit of feel? Or have you actually crunched the numbers, spreadsheet this whole bad boy and worked it out?
It's a bit of both approaches because I've been exposed to enough really good like mathematical deck builders to see like why they're thinking the way they are. But for the way I really go about deck building in Flesh and Blood, first of all, I think the most important premise is to think of your deck as 80 cards. Your deck is 80 cards. Remember, you're not actually sideboarding, you're pre-boarding. And you're pre-boarding out cards you don't want. So I don't like the idea of here's what I put in this matchup. Here's what I take out of this matchup. Here's the change for this, that, whatever. No. If you just think of your deck as these are my 80, this is what I want to play. And then in this matchup, here's what I don't want to play, and it's gone. Like that is the easiest way to start approaching deck building for me is let's just put in the cards we want and then figure out matchup by matchup what we don't want. And that has been really, really helpful in then tuning to the next level, which is this is a card I want. How many times do I want to see it? And, there's some easy formulas where it's like, if it's a great card, then you run 3 of it. If it's a card you never want to double draw, you run 2 of it.
Yeah.
But it can really get deeper where, you're running 2, but it's for specific stages of the game where this one is going to be amazing first cycle. It's a power play like with Art of War, for example, in Levia. Yeah. The first Art of War I see, I'm going to have enough life to put it in Arsenal and actually get a 5-card Art of War hand because it's early game. I will be able to say, yes, I'll take your damage, but now my damage will be better.
Yeah.
And you don't get that luxury late game. So you don't plan for the second Art of War. Yeah, exactly. You don't plan for your second Art of War to be the 5-card hand. You're planning for your second Art of War to be maybe that emergency turn off blood debt, maybe a emergency defensive play to try to buy you back in around like a crush effect, which, for example, came up against the Bravo game on stream. And you think about using it as a way to put back in your pitch stack to make your bad hands late game that you'll get to keep because you'll be forcing your opponent to full block out, how do I then turn my like all Deadwood Rumbler hand into something good? An Art of War.
Yeah.
An Art of War makes that a go again turn. So like, there's different ways.
This is very enlightening to me. I've known this intuitively, but you've said it better than I think it. Because again, on Dory, I know I keep going back to that, but that's pretty much all I play. Same as with Levia, that's all you sink hours into. It's
and Fi that 1 week.
Yeah, some cards you just read the card. This is the danger. You go Steel Blade Supremacy, fucking +2 the whole turn, draw on hit. Crazy. I can make that swing 3 times, so it's 1 for 6, draw 3 cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, it's the worst card to have if you have a 2-card hand at the end of the game. You do not want, like, it's stupid because it projects, it's only a +2 and it tells them it's only +2. So if you pitch and do that and you got no cards left, they go, so I got a block 6, you do nothing. Your best card. It's way better to have an attack reaction late game of any kind than it is to have a Steel Blade Supremacy. But it's crazy to consider taking 1 or 2 out of the deck. Do you know what I mean? Because you're but it's the most powerful. Yeah, but 3 cards, let's say, in perfect averages, you're going to get 1 early, 1 mid, 1 late. Do you even want 1 late? And then maybe consider not having 3. Or on what I do with Dory, because most of the cards block for 3, is that becomes a blocking card. Like, it's hard to get past blocking with some of your best cards, but I've won games because I've blocked with Glistening Steel Blade, which is by far the most cracked card in the deck, but pretty terrible in the wrong situation. You don't want, like versus Icelander, I'll block with it.
Right.
Well, pitch it because I don't. It doesn't win me the game. Read the card, great card. Physically, late game, like you're saying, it's not the card you want, or not the card you want to take 20 damage and then come back with it.
Well, see, I'm like, obviously we're of the same mind here. The versatility of like when you're using these pieces is incredible because to a new player, maybe blocking the Steel Blade seems outrageous.
They
like
would
you're
never.
Just saying,
yeah,
that's the best card. But like you just said, it's 2 face up late game. Well, the full choice in every hand is another thing that I don't enjoy about Levia. Why I hate Levia. Here you go. Reason number 2. The non-blocks in Brute, for they're to a degree in Levia. There's some of them that are must includes, like your blue 6 Deadwood Rumbler.
Yeah,
it's one of the non-blocks. If you're playing aggro, if you're even trying to beat aggro, you do need to run the things like Pulping and Wild Ride. The problem becomes with those cards is I'm a player who really wants choice. I really think I have enough games, I have enough experience that I could play. I don't want to say like perfect games, but I could make, very informed decisions turn after turn after turn that are just not given to me by non-block hands. And so those in particular really do frustrate me because choice is just completely gone. And it's even gone to the degree that they're not really pitch cards either. Like these are, for the most part, like red 6s, Bare Fangs, Pulping, Wild Ride, Shadow Blasphemfet. These are red 6s that are non-blocks that give you no choice. You must play them. You can't really pitch them back in. It's going to be a terrible tempo loss for you to pitch a red in. You can't block with them. And even playing them is a bit of, variance. They're all draw discard cards. And so maybe that's still a variance thing, right? They're cards that are variance. That's the part that really starts to bug me as well, the more games I play. Because that's another part of Levia where you just look at a hand and you say, well, I don't really get to make the optimal choices this turn because of the non-blocks. Let's try to make it workable. But then that means you're playing into the variance because they are variance cards. So, I wish they blocked, Dory's great in that regard. Everything blocks.
What would you ask for? What would help? Like one card that would make a significant difference?
This is easy. We were just talking about this in the League of Levia Discord. I really think it would be amazing to see multiple like blood debt payoff points, kind of like the way we see Doomsday now, where you have 6 blood debt. Here's your reward.
You can do this. Yeah.
Here's exactly like here's your amazing
but something
little
smaller
token.
And bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
So make it like Legendary Dragons and Dromai. You've got a 3, a 6, a 9. And it's easy because we already have the 6. And give us these ways to actually gain value out of like our early play into blood debt, and give us a cognizant choice of, okay, it's a little bit early in the game still, but I want to push blood debt because what if I draw like that, 3 summon in the next hand? Like I need to make that live now. Like it would give more agency in making choices around blood debt, and then give us like the big payoff one late game because
It just says
6
you
blood
win the
debt
game.
is not late game. 6 blood debt is like maybe even turn 3. Like,
Yes.
you know, so give us like the bigger one when we have stuff like 23 blood debt. What's the payoff there? Just living in fear? No. Give us like that one bigger.
Just
toy.
run Quell. It
Doesn't even work. Come on.
does it?
No,
Does,
it does not stop blood debt. Blood debt is like self-inflicted. I forget the exact wording.
Oh, you
but
can't.
you're not dealing damage. You just eat the blood debt.
That's right, because Quell says if you were dealt damage or were to be dealt.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's just lose life or whatever, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
different.
Right.
yeah.
Just like lose life.
Well,
So
I'll never play Levia. Anyway, go on.
No, I was just saying, like, I think we've dug pretty deep into, you know,
Fair.
why Levia, like the contrarian, the rogue deck builder, part Timmy, you know, and it's the flavor. Essentially, that's what it is, right? It really, just hearing you talk, how animated you get. It's like you said, the way you play the cards out of your hand, it captures your imagination. Like everything out there about the deck, it just, you know, maybe personifies yourself, but you really feel through your cards. That's how it comes across to me. But I want to talk about now Ethan, the content creator, right? Like
he exists.
you have one of, you know, the larger YouTube channels, amazing channel. You know, you have an infectious personality.
Oh,
and-
your streams get way
you know,
more views than anyone else's.
yeah.
Like as play streams, yeah, you're very good at it.
So
thank you.
how, like, because you come across as part like teacher, entertainer. Now you can
Toy
go into
boy.
it. You've got a you know a new
That's right, I'm growing up with
partnership with Star City Games. So we'll get into all that, but like so talk us through that where you sort of went from playing this rogue deck, you know, working in your LGS, doing Pokemon, seeing this, you know, this hero becoming so passionate about her, and then having your YouTube and then dedicating that YouTube around that single hero. You just mentioned you have a Discord channel. You've got a passionate fans all around the world. Like, yeah, so talk me through the whole content creator journey and where it is today and projects that you've got going on. And yeah, I'm really interested.
Oh, well, it's actually, wow, really humbling to hear from you because I remember you, like, before me, right? Like, all the Australians, actually, like, that's who we had back when America was the USA was getting into Flesh and Blood. It was, where's the content? It's coming from Tall Timmy. It's coming from Yazi, rest in peace. No, he posted a video today. He posted a video today, but he's alive. He's alive.
Where is he? Wait, it didn't even
did you
play.
press
Yazi!
Yazi! There we go. Yeah, so, you know, I remember vividly my first experience with Flesh and Blood content was Yazi's Meat Axe video, which to this day remains, I really hope it was unscripted. It remains like the funniest Flesh and Blood content I've ever seen, where he's just like writing 5 backwards and then fixes it and then writes it backwards again. Like, it's just
That's a cracker.
incredible. And when I saw that, there was a seed planted of like, I want to be part of this community. Like, this is kind of
See what you did, Yazi.
Yeah, look. And so, you know, I never had plans for it, but like I said, when I was starting playing Levia, I didn't know she was the bad one. I was in my bubble. Well, that bubble burst pretty quick when I went to my first RTN, made top 4 with her, and then somehow was the only person in the world to get their Nats invite with Levia. That felt insane to me because I really thought she was nuts. Like, I was there and I'm like, I'm not even happy with top 4. Like, I could have won that easy if I just knew what Katsu did. I just never played against Katsu before.
Oh, he's a pain in the ass to play against when you don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
trust
God, he's a
me.
pain in the ass.
I would never lose those games now, I'll tell you what. But I was frustrated.
We'll have to
'cause it's
talk
like-
after the podcast. I still bloody lose to Katsu. I haven't worked that one out yet, Ethan.
Well, but you know, that was the kind of phase I was in. It was just so new. And so it was crazy to me that I'm brand new and I'm the only one on Levia. Like, where's the Levia content? What's happening here? And so as people asked me after that first result, like, be on our podcast, you know, share your deck tech. I thought, okay, well, here's my avenue in. Like, let's do it ourselves. Like, let's make the deck tech. And if you look at my first video, I'm like a pretentious piece of shit. I hate that first
So nothing's
video.
changed.
Please tell me you kept it on there.
All right, I'm out.
But you kept it there, Ethan,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Hey,
still
we
there.
do
That's
need
good.
a walk-off on Thunder.
I'm not a
don't we?
fan of people deleting their old videos.
Yeah,
no,
no,
I
that's
left
good.
it up. It's got a lot of views because
Yeah.
like it came out, it got like
Yeah.
6K views. It was insane. And it's like a tilt down webcam with like crackly audio. And I'm just like, So you all just don't understand Levia, and here's the deck. And
Why do you
I'm
sound
running-
like Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh, really? I'm
That's the
tightening my
voice
lips
you're
here.
doing.
No, but that's really how it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's that.
Look, but
it's bad.
it's quite daunting. My first unboxing videos, I wasn't talking because I couldn't talk and open at the same time. Like, go watch my very first unboxing videos. It's me with no audio, just the ASMR of packs ripping. Well,
Ooh, nice.
but it's weird.
Yeah. Okay, good. You said it. Yes.
But but when you start, that's the thing. We've got a lot of people that start and they're gone now because it's daunting or it's a lot of work. Like you're committed, you're doing it, and I think you do a great job. What your first video is doesn't matter
well, but
as long as you improve.
But at least it was made, right?
Yes.
Because that's what I hear from a lot of people as well. Is like,
You did
how do I do this? Like,
Just make
make
one.
it,
Yeah.
make it, and then self-reflect and realize, holy shit, I got to do that better.
But
I got to do that better.
I would advise record it
yeah.
and still post it.
Yeah.
Like you need to be humble enough to accept feedback. Like I did the James White interview with an echo. I knew there's an echo. I'm not going to delete the footage. I'll post it. Next time there won't be an echo.
Exactly.
Like it's completely fine.
Exactly.
Don't throw your work away because you're a perfectionist either.
But that's kind of the mindset that you should keep adopting, though, is always look to improve. Don't coast.
Yes.
Because that's an easy way to get into it with YouTube as well. Is like, here's your big break. You found like your niche. Maybe it's like Dash or something. But then that's all your content is like what worked that one time.
Yeah, no.
Not great. So that's been the Man Saint YouTube channel in a nutshell is, okay, deck techs were great. So here's a couple deck techs. But what's next? People want gameplay. Here's not just gameplay. Here's a best of 3 blitz series with every single matchup in the game. And that was like the big takeoff for my YouTube because that's when it felt like a job. Because I made the schedule out and in my head it's fun. I'll have my friends over. I'll play best of 3s against every hero. And that way it helps me too because I've never seen all these heroes yet either. But then it was like, that's a lot of games. It's a lot to edit. That's a lot to put together. When things go wrong, like I'm behind, I feel stressed. But we did it. And that really gave the channel like its bones and cemented this just core knowledge of Levia gameplay that was missing on YouTube. And that's when I became like more the Levia guy. When it was like confirmed, here is this dude who really put this many months into Levia. Like that's already crazy. But it was great. Like it was a project I committed to. I executed it. And they're still quality. I'm still surprised. I go back and watch them. And I was new, but I went over and did commentary on every single game. I had like almost a new overlay for every single video because I was always trying different things. And to even go back and listen to myself then, I'm happy with that version of me. Not the first video version of me. That was the ambitious, like, let's become a YouTuber.
It.
Yeah,
You fixed it.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what that version of me did. He fixed
It's funny,
it.
like what did it for my channel was I would not talk and then I would when I got used to I'd never opened packs before Flesh and Blood of anything. Like not even Pokemon, nothing. I'd never opened packs. So it's trying to do the Rudy thing, but you have to focus and count the cards. And someone in the comments was like, hey, we'd like you're talking, but we'd love to see your face. And I'm like, I never wanted a face cam.
You're like,
I
I'm
wasn't
sure I'm
trying to
bald.
be anonymous, but I put it up. And that's when the channel started like clear growth because people now were like communicating with me, not my hands. It wasn't impersonal. I think Rudy gets away with it because half his videos are him just talking to the camera, and then the other half, when it's his hands, you're like, you can picture him making, you know what I mean? But yeah, it just small improvements. I think people put this like thing, like they go, it needs to be this good, and they'll compare it to another channel. Go, I want it to look like this, and then they just never. They don't have the time or the skill, or it's
Right.
quite
It's too
daunting. Like
daunting.
I've
Good
done
word.
it. You record a big thing and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like this is like 4 hours of editing,
Yep.
12 hours of encoding. I'm tired, and you don't want to do it.
No, and then it falls apart. So you have to set what's manageable because like after that best of 3, I didn't then jump to like a CC best of 3. Like I knew that was too much. So then we went back like, okay, let's do, now that there's Levia content people are searching for, let's do like some intro bits. Like
Yep,
here's like
yep.
Levia 101. And then here's like some discussion around new cards. And like, it was a very natural evolution once the platform was there, built by a big project like the best of 3. But I really have always been of the mindset that there will never be an end goal. but I want to keep pursuing it. Like I want to, it's not just let's get the YouTube to a point where I'm making money, or let's get the YouTube to a point where like, I have like I'm sponsored by LSS officially, or like whatever it is. That's not like the goal. Even if any of those happen, there's always more to do. And so fast forward like a bunch, we get to where I am now with streaming a lot. That was like a little side gig that I really enjoyed when I was living in Michigan and hitting up just like a lot of ProQuest like nearby. I thought our players were great. I really was impressed with a lot of our players, and yet no one was recording anything. And I thought, okay, it's easy. Like, phones exist. Like my camera's good. Like let's just bring something together and make this watchable on YouTube. Like who cares how good it does? This is a way we can all get better as a community. And so I basically just took my camera wherever I was, whatever ProQuest I was at. That just became the stream. But streaming unlocked this whole other world of this could really improve. Like streaming could really become something that I like specialize in because I care so much about it. Like I really want the viewer experience. This actually harkens back to what I do for a living, but I really want like the viewer experience to be impeccable.
Which is a challenge with a card game. Poker goes through like to stream poker professionally, like when you watch like the World Series, there's like chips in every card so that when the player has the cards face down, the NFC chip reports that that's the card that they have. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very hard to communicate a poker game on TV. You need good commentary who know the game, but are also entertaining. But then it's also to pick up people's hands and the cards. It's tricky. But when you get it, it's so fun to watch. I remember that was my first problem with Flesh and Blood and why I didn't start playing is I was opening alpha boxes and stuff, but I'd go to watch gameplay and it's boring.
Yeah, and it's still something I think that no one does correctly yet.
Correct.
Because Flesh and Blood is not a game of permanence. It's not a game of let's stare at board state. It's a game of what are the decisions.
Yes.
And to this day, even the official LSS streams don't care about the hand.
Not enough.
Not enough.
They're trying to guess, like, I think it's a yellow. I'm like,
and honestly,
get a camera.
It's not what you need to make the game good.
Is it like wearing a GoPro on their chest, your record would fix that?
Oh, come on. So you've never seen my videos then.
Hand cam.
John?
You do hand
Holy
cams.
moly.
I remember when you first did the hand cams. I remember your post about it. Yeah.
Well, it's for recorded gameplay, it's a lot easier. I just had a 4K camera capturing the overhead and would like zoom it.
Yeah.
But for live, first of all, you can't really stream in 4K. Just anywhere you need like a home setup for that. But what I ended up doing with like my current rig, which was lost coming back from France, but ideas were preserved and they'll be debuted at SCGCon again. I actually set up like a triple camera system where yes, there's the overhead and that's going to capture board state, but there's going to be a camera, on kind of over the shoulder of both players that captures the hand of the player in front of them and the face of the player across from them, and you edit around in OBS, and all of a sudden, out of 3 cameras, you have 2 hand cams, 2 face cams overhead, and it's easy. Easy. And I brought that to a couple things, and it takes like an extra 20 minutes to set up.
Yeah.
You need to tape things down, make sure they're good, but it's not hard. It takes OBS, it takes 3 decent cameras.
Do you know what is
and
hard?
It's not even
worth
perfect
doing?
yet.
Get some OCR going, where the camera reads in and then it finds the card on FabTV.
Okay, there's one.
No.
There's one
sorry,
group
let me
that
tell
has
you-
access to
yeah,
that.
but
It's
let me-
Team Covenant.
No, but who should be doing that is LSS.
Yeah,
See, if
also-
LSS had the tech, they paid for it. $50,000 it costs them to get a. There's a lot of these companies that can make that in a heartbeat, right? Because they'll get a database of photos, get a camera, and it's quite easy, but you need like. I used to sell photocopiers for a living. Like the scanning technology on a photocopier will do it. You just need to program a camera to do it. That would change the game. Because then you just give that to people that are streaming. I'll just plug this into OBS.
Yeah.
It'll find the cards. It'll go, player 1's hand is here. Player 2's hand is here.
Well, okay, so I can't figure it out, programming wise, but I've been working on making like a pitch stack tracker.
Yeah.
Easy as well. Manual. Because like for the SCGCon gig that's coming up, I can't play in those. I'll be running the stream.
Yeah.
And so if I'm behind the stream, like, I'll do commentary, but that's also not enough. Like, if there's someone there, then you can manage a lot more to making the game enjoyable, which could even be tracking pitch stack. It's like, which might be a lot, but for certain decks, it's worth having that recall.
Being able to go, you know what's coming up? The
Yeah.
next 8
Yeah, yeah.
cards are like. Imagine doing that when Stavo was a thing.
Oh my
When
god.
Michael Hamilton was playing, his pitch stack was from another planet.
Yeah. You'd be like, all right, so 11 turns of Servo Fuse are coming up.
So how did the League of Levia birth?
Well, that was me not wanting to monetize anything. I didn't want like an in-crowd through like a Patreon source or like YouTube members or whatever, but I still wanted, a community. And YouTube comments like were kind of hit or miss. It kind of takes the first person to really kick it off, and then people start having a discussion. And Discord was there, so I made a Discord server and just called it the League of Levia. I'm always there for alliteration, and it just kind of persists to this day. And it's got almost like 700 members now,
Whoa.
and it's very active, like very for a singular niche hero Discord. It's a lot of talk. It's a lot of great
Well, that's
people.
probably every
And
Levia player.
Yeah, it is.
How can people get access to that?
Oh, it's just linked in every YouTube video.
Okay.
It's the same deal. Like
It's not behind a paywall or
no,
anything.
like
that?
my whole idea is, I'm doing this for more of like a self journey, like with YouTube content, with streaming and all that. And the payoff will be there when people take notice. Like I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to make a Patreon and like try to tie that into the reason for why I'm making content. It's there if people want it. Like I do have a Patreon now, which has helped a bit, especially in like recovering from France. Also now, the Talishar perks are tied to that, where you can like get the card back, and that's pretty cool. So I like that. But still, my goal for eventual payoff is opportunities like SEGCon, where, I'm making the effort, and I finally am in a position to kind of sell myself, sell what I can do. And so the SEGCon gig is not a paid gig, but it's exclusivity for streaming the US Battle Hardens, basically, because they're all tied to the SEGCon circuit. Well, not all of them, but
And will they be streamed through
90%.
your channel? Sorry.
yes, they
So
will.
Wow.
this is literally my suggestion to James.
Well, I had that conversation with him.
No, we
first,
talked
just
about
FYI.
we talked
Yes,
about
yes,
this. We
yes.
had the same idea.
Yes.
If I just had exclusivity for Australian events, I'll find a way to make it work financially. I just need to know the views are coming through my channel, because then you can, like, it's like a resume then, at least. It's a resume of like, this is the quality I can do. And if you do a 1-year contract for free and you're the best at it, you'll get paid next year. Like, they're not going to
Exactly.
go back 5 years in time worth of quality. Their own fans will come. You know what I mean? Like, if you're doing over the hand cam and commentary and all this stuff, and it's high def and it's on your channel on time, they're not going to just randomly go hire some guy for free after you. Like, they'll probably.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. And on top of that, sponsors start to come to you, because I've sent some emails out that I don't enjoy sending, where it's like, hey, something's coming up. Like, do you want like an ad spot for the channel? Blah blah blah. It feels really bad to have to reach out and ask that, even if you end up landing it, because it's like an extra hurdle of work and like uncertainty and stress. Whereas, if that's coming to you, man, what a pat on the back that is. Like, it's some recognition of, you're doing a great job. Here's someone who wants to be part of that great job. And for me mentally, like, that's where I want to get with what
I
I'm
disagree
doing.
strongly.
Well, okay.
No.
Yeah, I get it. I do get it.
Every creative I've ever met, that's their downfall, is talented people don't like selling themselves. I'm the opposite. I'm an ideas guy. The talent is that I don't give up and I can ask. That's my talent. I'm not shy to ask.
That's okay. Yeah, it's definitely a shy factor for sure.
Either partner with someone that's willing. Like, that's why talent have managers.
Yep.
That's literally why talent agents exist, is because they got this crazy basketball player, but he's a basketball player. He has no business in a boardroom meeting asking for $100,000 more. Do you know what I mean? But that's exactly what you need to learn if you're going to do it yourself, is put it aside, go, no. But also get your bills paid for your fans and community so they get the content for free. Like, it's still better to ask SEGCon one day for money than it is to ask patrons, because you want the League of Levia to just get the content. It's much better if someone else pays you $5,000 a month and you can do it full time and better quality and better. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No. That's
you have
super,
to get,
yeah.
as a creative person, which I know you are, you have to get past that hurdle of, I don't like asking. Find why you're asking and then ask.
Well, it's like it's still my own personal uncertainties in it as
Yeah.
well because
I'll 100% off camera will help you with that. I'll do it
Okay.
for you. Like
Jo-
you go,
he's the master.
no, I'm-
He's the master of this sort of
dude,
stuff.
I had a
He-
sponsor day
he can
one on
sell
my
sand to
channel.
the Arabs
Like
to
100
himself.
good
Sorry.
Good Games and PCG sponsor my channel. Good Games like the biggest LGS chain. I don't take money off them, but they give me their cases to break open for their singles. And PCG give me every box I open, I can slab for free. So I've got sponsors that just give to the community because I definitely don't need the money from the channel. Like that's not I don't need it to be monetized. Does it make sense? But
Yeah.
if you had at least ticket money to every battle hardened,
Yes.
That-
Which, to be fair, is something that I have gone to that
Good.
degree. Like,
Yeah.
like making an event net zero is definitely like always a goal.
yeah. yeah.
But it's going beyond that I struggle with.
And by the way, honestly, you still are better. Like your thought process is correct. Let your skill speak for itself. What sucks is going, I'm gonna make it amazing. Pay me. That feels bad because you're like, there's still pressure on you to make it amazing, right? But if you know you're amazing, that's why you do a trial period. That's why you do short contracts. If you're gonna have one, go, okay. If I can do them all for a year, for instance, do 3 months for free and then renegotiate. I got one of my best jobs doing that. Was the guy wanted help with starting a company. I go, I want 180,000 a year. That's what I'm worth. And he goes, oh, I can't afford that. I go, no, but I'm in sales. Like, you'll be paying me out of the profit I bring you. It's not. We agreed on 50,000 a year for 6 weeks. But then a renegotiation. I said, in 6 weeks, I would have paid the 50,000. Then we'll, like, for the whole year.
Yeah.
But that'll show you that the problem with this guy is he fired me, but I still hit my target. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because he realized. So what I did, I set everything up for him, which is what you can, like, that's the danger of doing what you're doing is you can set everything up because you're passionate. You'll show staff how to set it up, what you're using, the tech. Then you go ask and they go, nope, can't afford you, sorry. And then they just do it. So be careful of that. Sometimes you just be too nice. And that's what I did for this guy. I developed the commission structure, the relationships, the script. I hired commission-only salespeople so there's no risk on the business. Quarter one, which was 3 months, we made way more than 50,000 profit. And the guy just went, oh, look, I'm just going to promote that guy that you hired because he wants less money. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? But hey.
Yeah, well, at least from the position I'm at, it does take like a lot of sacrifice to basically say, yeah, I'm not going to play in these events. Like, I'm going to make the content what I get out of it.
Yeah.
And I think most people in Flesh and Blood are still there for the gameplay first. And it's taken a lot for me to be okay with giving even some of that up. Because think about how exciting it's the first event with Dynasty, this SCG Con.
Yes.
The first event. Like, everything's playable.
Everything's new.
You can play Arachne that day.
Yep.
And I
so
won't
cool.
be playing in it. And I'll be right there. It still hurts a little bit, but, that's there's sacrifice to it. There's also things I've gone through, like taking my entire suite of gear to France, losing it on the return. Still not resolved, by the way. That's insane. Like, I don't want anyone to go through that.
Yeah.
It's awful.
So have you learned
Awful.
the lesson? Because you
Don't
taught me
say
a
don't
lesson.
check bags. For
No,
the
no,
love
no,
of
no,
God,
no, no.
if you're one of those Twitter people
That's
that says
the
that
only.
to me.
I've always checked because cards are heavy. I always put my decks in a box in my checked luggage because it's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing in my hand luggage is strip. My cards. Nothing else. I didn't even put my phone charger in my carry-on because it was so heavy with the cards. Because I'm terrified of it happening to me.
Yep. It's not fun. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, and especially not fun when companies don't believe how much cardboard is worth.
Yeah. So tip for
fighting
that
for
for
those as
those
well.
listening. I know we're having a conversation,
Yeah,
but this is mainly for the 500-600 people that tune in, maybe more because we got some are famous today. Take a video of what's in your bag before you close it. Always. Insurance doesn't matter. Like, you how do I prove that my gold
Or a video
foil-
of you packing it. Just, here you go.
No, so, like, when I sell something like an alpha box, I take a video of me packing it. I don't take photos. I take a video. Here's the box. I wrapped it in plastic this way. I put it in. So you see the whole thing. So if I ever get a person go, oh, you sent it to me damaged, I'm like, how? Insurance is the same. Content insurance for your house. You're supposed to like walk around your house with a camera, open your closets, your drawer, all your jewelry stacked out. You just take one long video of your house. Then if you ever get flooded or the house burns down, you can go, no, I did have 17 chains. Do you know what I mean? Because their default insurance will cover jewelry to this amount, and you're like, no, buddy, like you said everything in the house, but you can't prove what's in there. It's the same thing. If you can prove there was a deck box and you like spread the equipment out as an example, then they have to cover it because you can go bit by bit and go, no, that's $500, that's $200. You can do that, but otherwise, insurance's job is not to pay you.
No, and they really don't want to as well. It's a lot of waiting for emails, a lot of awful.
I heard you have
phone
lawyers in the
calls.
family. You'll be fine.
I do, but they don't want their name. They work for the government, so they don't want their name on like a demand letter or anything. I do need to outsource for all that stuff, but also it's a lot of time to spend, and I'm spending my time on things like this, like Worlds, like Denver last weekend, like Columbus the weekend before, like SCGCon right after. You know, I would have to sacrifice some of that to really care about this right now.
Yes.
So we're just letting it boil for a bit, and like we'll get back to it.
Don't give up. It's not so like they're designed. Those things are designed to burn you out with time and money. If you don't give up, they eventually burn out quicker than you because their expenses are higher. They usually just gets to a point where they would rather pay you than go to court or keep having to reply, because like letters of demand have a legal requirement. They have to respond, that kind of thing. I think in Australia it does anyway, but you'll be fine. So are you missing anything?
Oh my God!
No, but did you get everything? Have you replaced it yet, or you haven't?
No, no. Most of it's irreplaceable. Like I look now at my Flesh Mold collection, it's like 90% of what it used to be. Because part of, I mean, I don't want to like really like spend too much time on the story, but basically, you know, I was bringing all this stuff to a test house in France to stream, record, and provide test decks because no one wanted to like, you know, spill the beans and like what their specifics were. So there I was with everything, like basically everything but Bolton. Sorry, you know, anything like meta relevant, like I had it.
Yeah.
And like
Meta relevant, Bolton, meta relevant.
I'm sorry. Are you playing?
He did win on stream.
Are you playing Bolton on Friday?
No.
Okay,
Oh,
move
so
on.
there you
Yeah.
So
I'm not good enough. That's why.
So
Josh Lau is screaming somewhere. Yeah.
Well, hey, shout out to him. He did win with like a triple lumina
Yeah,
on stream against Fistfry at the Pro Tour too.
Sure did.
But yeah, so it was just like, you know, my base set of camera gear stuff still, which that was replaceable. I mean actually not even replaceable, upgradable. With that being gone, in a way, you know, it was good. Like I didn't really want a GoPro again. It wasn't the right camera for what I was doing, but it's what I had and it's what I was making do with. Well, now with the theory that I'll get everything's monetary value back, I spent money I didn't have, which I'm a little terrified about. I hate credit cards, but I spent money I didn't have to start replacing it. So now we have like an actual mirrorless camera overhead. We've got like actual Elgato cams, like for the hand cams. We've got like the cam link. Like it's the good stuff finally that I was kind of stuck not being able to get because
they're wasted. I'm the same. These cameras are not great, the webcams, but like because I have them, it feels bad to go buy 3 mirrorless cameras. Like why would I do that? Do you know what I mean?
No,
it just doesn't feel right. I'm not a wasteful person.
So like that part was actually okay in the end, but what wasn't okay were the decks, were everything I picked up from the Pro Tour. Like actually, shout out to LSS. They replaced the actual Pro Tour goodies. That was like a big thing on Twitter.
I saw that was really cool.
Yeah, I'm the best PR they've ever had. What do you mean?
By the way, you are an extremely good representative of the game. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, your content's good. You're well spoken. It's very clean. Like, you're not like sponsors and LSS should be happy to work with you. Like us, we're a little bit on the murkier side. A lot of swearing.
Definitely,
you know what I mean?
The nose. We're like sour milk, or we're like fine wine.
We're trying to get like a condom brand sponsorship or a beer sponsor. You know what I mean?
Hey, you want to sleeve those cards? You better sleeve. You know what?
Yeah, you got to protect your cards.
Yeah.
Protect your junk as well.
You sure I should be taking advice from you?
Durex, baby. Yeah.
Look,
that's
it's
true, Ethan. That's true. Exactly. Should you be? There's multiple kids between us and the snip. Exactly. We clearly didn't learn our lesson.
Is good both ways. Advice you don't take, you still learn something. You know what I mean? You're like, advice like that, don't take that advice.
Well, if only I'd been on the podcast earlier, I would have learned all these tricks. I would have had a video of what was in my bag. Instead, I just have my literal like farewell wave to like, Levia on the wall with my bag. It's like the only proof I have that I even had it. So at least there was that. But
Look,
that was it.
What you do is
and we moved on.
If you really get to a dead end, just get the legal Levia to all write a reference letter. This person plays this deck, and just send 700 letters to let them sift through that.
Interesting. They did that in Better
no,
Call Saul.
You're technically a public persona. I know. Like, it's funny when you've experienced this too. People come up for a photo, an autograph. I'm not famous. Like, I'm like you. Like, I just have a camera on when I do what everyone else does. But technically, you're a public person.
Well,
like
no. This weekend patted my ego. You want a quick story, Fluke? This is insane. This was crazy. I'm staying with my cousin last night, and it's Denver. I've never visited him before. We saw each other like once 2 years ago, and then when we were kids, right? So I'm just his cousin.
Yeah.
But in a good way. Like we're friends, and I'm staying with him. And he's like, oh, so what's that card game you're into? Like, why are you here? And I'm like, Flesh and Blood. It's just this thing, whatever. And he, texts it to his coworker or whatever who's into Magic. And he's like, oh yeah, my cousin, it wasn't Magic in the end. Like, it was Flesh and Blood. And the dude texts back, is it Ethan Van Sant? And he goes, oh, what? And it's because that guy had seen my stream where I said, yeah, I'll be staying with my cousin in Denver. And then when Michael sent the message saying, oh, yeah, my cousin's fat, it clicked. And Michael goes, holy shit, you're like a niche internet celebrity.
Yeah,
I'm like, I guess I am.
There's a word for it. It's micro-influencer, but you have influence. Use it. Like, if you have to get people to verify and reference that you own a deck and that it's roughly worth whatever you're trying to claim, get it right now on Twitter. We get 1,000 people to write a little reference letter. Like, you could write the reference letter, just get them to date, sign it, return it, and you will end up with multiple hundreds of them. An insurance company can't just ignore multiple hundred unique people going, yes, a Levia deck for Flesh and Blood with those cold foils is worth this. He's a YouTuber for the game that specializes in this. Like, it's not hard to do. It's time.
It just needs to come after this hurdle. Yeah,
it's time. It's annoying, but it's doable. I'm happy to. Yeah, it'd be hilarious.
Can it all be postmarked from Sydney? Can we organize that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. We 100%. Like, because
that'll really freak
you make it. We have to put an address in. You'll get international addresses for sure.
There we go.
So, what's the future for you YouTube?
Yeah, when are you having kids?
Yeah. And what heroes are they going to play?
Sorry, you go from one to no.
If you're not playing Levia, out.
There was
you are not my child.
She was at the Columbus Battle Hardened. She actually won first place in the cosplay contest.
Oh, yes, I saw those.
We saw.
I made that costume just for the record, okay? Yes, it was her in it, but
so
I did make the costume. Yes.
So you're quite artsy crafty. You know how to...
the hot glue gun. Like scissors and a hot glue gun and spray paint. But yeah, we got it together. Someone asked her, because this was like her first appearance as Woman Sant, how does it feel for your boyfriend to just be like obsessed with a fake woman with tentacles? And she was just like, oh my God.
It's when a weird question.
That way, like it is freaky, but it's also freaky that you asked that. So like, let's just move on. But no, it's like, right. Like, it's not an obsession. I think we've cleared that up. Like, it's a passion.
This isn't like waifu for you. This is like listen, it's an RPG game. That's what Flesh and Blood feels like. It's like playing Street Fighter. It's like playing Diablo. Like, you pick a hero, you got your gear, you build a deck, but it's very much you got to feel in tune with like. It's not an attraction. Like, I don't play Door of an attraction. I like the idea of my my Dawn Blade getting stronger the more I swing. I love the feeling of it. You know what I mean? The hero could be male, could be anything. Like, it would be less relevant to how the deck feels, the cards look. Like, there's decks I can't play because of the art. Like, I don't enjoy the art enough to play. Like, Brute's one of them, actually, for me.
Oh my God.
I don't want the
gory.
gory.
On that side of the room.
I'm not looking for gory. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I play, I usually play the good hero in a game. Do you know what I mean? I don't pick the villain.
Can we psychoanalyze that?
What the
that you not wanting to play gory and wanting to play the good guy.
That's my preference.
In psych. Yeah, let's do
it. Yeah, let's do it. It's like, let's give you the Freudian once over. No, but Man Sant channel. Like, what are we going to move more? Are we ever going to see a rebrand if you were to go full streaming mode? Are you going to stay 100% Levia focus, or are you going to like transcend that, or where do you see? Are you going to do more teaching stuff? Like, are you just going to do all of it like you are now?
Well, eventually I'll be CEO of LSS, so I will have to.
You hear that, James?
By the way, I fucking doubt that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Not even a goal. But I mean, I'm lucky actually to have already had like a tie to this moniker like Mansant. First of all, it's a play on my last name. If you haven't figured that out, Vansant, Mansant. And it's just been like my gamer title, I guess, for a long time. That I do like it. Like it's me. You can call me Mansant. I'm totally down for that. I don't have a channel called like the Romping Club. Like that's not me. And so I do like that. Branding
It's
wise,
you. Yeah.
I have like Mansant, but then I have the League of Levia. And so like those being separate already, I like where that line's been drawn. Where the League of Levia is for the Levia players. It's not tied to me. Like, yeah, I paid for the
No, but
the
that could one
branding
day,
and-
if the game gets big, you could have a League of Levia channel, and it's not just
yeah,
you.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. It could be
like
community run,
easily,
like whatever it is.
yeah.
But the League of Levia exists, yes, thanks to me starting it. But the players were there; they just needed that focal point. So that exists. That's nice. But I can also reel back if I want and just be Mansant and do what I want to do away from being too Levia centric. Like even in the early days of overlays, like very simple stuff, I used to keep it all Levia themed. But I'm not gonna make it a Levia overlay for the SEGCon stream. Like that's a distinction. So Mansant, me, what I want to do, I've enjoyed the daily streams. Talishar existing is incredible. My only take over Talishar is I want more people to work on it, so there's animations. Like, I love it as a tool, especially since I live in the middle of nowhere. It's been kind of my saving grace in playing Flesh and Blood at all. So the streams, like if I'm sitting down and playing Flesh and Blood, I will turn on the camera these days because I get the viewers, I get, a chance to interact, I get a chance to teach, I get a chance to, answer questions and also ask questions because, people will show up like Fino or Levi or whatever, and these are great players.
They'll
It
help
might
you
not
with a
be
line,
huge
they'll
in-
help you with a matchup.
Yeah, but they might not be huge in like the content they're putting out, but their brain is perfect. And like them being in chat
Oh,
is good for
Fino's
me.
content is amazing. He has too much on, I think, to be a YouTuber. You know what I mean? I love his videos when he bothers to post them. He should be on the podcast this week.
Yeah, he'll be here. You
Have
said
to have
20
that.
episodes. Go for it. He's here. But so that's what I personally have been going more towards is this idea of like becoming a streamer. And I've got some good role models like Majin Bey, who, oh my God, I think the finals just dropped tonight,
Yes.
actually, of the Goliath Gauntlet. Can we say that the winner? I think it's out. Well, because this will
did he
definitely
So
come out by
who
then.
did Martian
No,
Bay
no,
play
No,
in the final?
this doesn't post till tomorrow, so
Okay, so Majin Bey won. Just FYI.
who
I've
did-
known this for like a week now.
Who did he play in the final? Sorry, he beat Michael.
DM Armada.
Yeah.
The finals
made
was
the fi-
DM Armada. But Majin had no break getting there. It was Brendan Patrick
Yep.
into Isaac Crew into Michael Hamilton, I think was the run.
So
The
who did,
dude is insane at card games, but mostly Legend of Runeterra is what he's known for, and he's a big streamer in that right. But he's also a good friend of mine at this point, just because his name is Van Patten and I'm Van Sant. So we always sit next to each other at these events. We've gotten to hang out, we've gotten to talk, and really big role model of mine in like what it takes to become a full-time streamer. Because there isn't one for Flesh and Blood. I don't
Zero,
really
yeah.
think there could realistically be a full-time, but that's when the other parts rope into it,
Yes.
like what I'm trying to do for SEG cons, what I'm trying to do for even like your little podunk towns at like ProQuest, like I'll still do what I can to elevate like those kinds of experiences. And I still have like my own real life job too, which is contract. So it's super malleable. So, if I can juggle all that into a life, I like that.
you're living the dream, baby?
Yeah. Well, I don't really make money. So that's a factor
yeah,
that I
but
need to change.
as long as your
Money.
But
your
I
significant
do
other,
live. I am alive.
yeah, as long as she makes the money, it's fine.
She's doing okay.
You're the trophy husband one day, it's fine. Just go down that route. Okay, you're lucky to have me.
Oh boy, I won't say that on camera. I'm lucky to have her. Though. I'll say that.
She's not around this trip, is she?
No, I don't think she'll ever go on a Flesh and Blood trip again with me. She was not happy after the Battle Hardened in Columbus because I pitched it as like, hey, there's like a speakeasy thing after, like everyone's cool, just come hang out. But come hang out was just kind of like watch me draft.
Yes.
Which I didn't want it to be that, but like she's not going to draft. but I'm not going to say no to a draft. So,
Well,
it
buddy,
was just a little awkward.
you should just say no to the draft next time.
But everyone was drafting. Cool people.
That's
were
such a
drafting. Only
20-something-year-old thing to say. Let me tell you.
We all have been
No,
there.
no,
Ethan.
no.
Don't worry.
Okay.
I've made these.
It's an investment. You
mistakes,
say
don't
no to
worry.
the draft. You hang out with her because she'll come to the next event. That's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah, but she doesn't get anything out of these anyway. So like she's not woman Sant. I call her that because it's funny, but she's not trying to be woman
Yeah,
Sant.
yeah.
She's trying to finish her PhD. Yeah,
Yes.
so like she's
Yeah.
just gonna do that. So
That's fair.
All right. Any
well,
other?
great to get episode 1 with you.
1 of 20, right?
Wow.
Power
Look,
through.
I just think it's a good idea to have this as season 2, the start of season 2. That's all.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Starting.
I'm just I'm buzzing out. I just feel so surreal
Yeah.
that we're here in America again.
San Jose, great dinner.
We didn't,
Ooh,
Thunder
great company.
wasn't even around when we were in New Jersey.
No.
It's
We're
just-
like 20 episodes
Really?
and maybe
No.
like 22 weeks or something.
this is
like
all
that.
new, and
That's
it just feels so awesome. And
I mean,
to be our
it-
first guests on foreign soil, because our whole shtick
Is in
is
person.
in person.
Yeah.
Okay, in the future, we are going to start doing a bit. We are going to do some
unless
recording
we
things.
unless we can chain this
Yeah.
type of thing together. Like if there's a New Zealand calling that we're both going to,
Yes.
and we take the kit to New Zealand and then try and record 5 there, that saves us 5 weeks of content till the next, and we can fill with just Paul and I because they're great episodes when it's just us. But I think we agree. If we never have a video interview, great.
It's magical.
Does that
There's
make sense?
something magical about a conversation, I think.
Yeah,
that-
body language and
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I just really enjoy that. Even outside of like Thunder not being, even though today we had some questions for you, I just like having conversations with people more so than.
well, it's in the flesh and blood. It's thematic to keep
Yeah.
it that way. I
That's
think.
right. That's
But
how you get the
but-
LSS sponsorship.
But we've agreed that there's some like James White. If he'll come on Thunder and it's only going to work by video, we get him on by video. It's not it's same as you. If we couldn't have done this, we would have had you on video at some point. Like it's silly to wait and not do it.
Well, honestly, I forgot you guys were so new because I distinctly remember the like opening tweet of my experience with Thunder was Carolina, who I really
Yeah.
hope you get on, saying like this is like the intro just makes her smile, and I'm like, oh, what intro is this? And then it's made.
So
me
in other
smile
words,
ever since.
Paul makes her smile. She threatened not to come on unless I dance. I'm like, you're replaceable. I'm not.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
she is. I'm gonna tell her I'm the host.
There's many people that have said that they need to get John to dance.
It's not, by the way, now it's just a stubbornness thing. Like usually he'd be dancing. I'm like making sure it's recording. Like I'm tanking for that 30 seconds. But now it's just stubbornness. I won't dance.
So I never even noticed that was the dynamic here. I kind of bit my lip. I tried to do a little thing.
Yeah.
It was okay.
It's fine. No one competes with him. He's too out.
No,
Like,
that was
there's
good.
no point. No one's going to look at me anyway.
Big shout out to Sean for making the track.
Yeah, like you can tell what song that is.
I should know it. I'm gonna say something dumb like Copacabana, but it's not.
No, it's a very famous Australian song.
Okay.
We ripped it off and got our friend Sean to like make it non-copyright.
Hopefully.
It's a highly copywritten
Hopefully.
song because it's
Hopefully.
like it's like the unofficial Australian album like theme song. Like
Uh-huh.
that's not the. But anyway, great to have you, and also good that you got this out of the way. Now you can just focus on Worlds.
Oh yeah, baby. I can focus on rolling 1 into 1.
Also,
Don't
we're
you know
happy
it?
to test. We have decks during the week. If you guys want any testing partners, Dory and what are you on?
Briar baby. Briar baby.
No, but
Briar baby.
if you guys need a Dory or a Briar,
Oh, I'm
'Cause
not.
I-
Look, that's the other thing. I'm not in charge of this test house for the testing.
No, I'm
I'm in
offering-
charge of the content.
sure.
So if I need,
The reason I say is Dory especially. By the way, I'm not playing Worlds. So I mainly want to do this while I'm here. But what I noticed at Pro Tour Lille is everyone that played into me and lost, very good players, Brody included, hadn't
you
tested
beat
it.
Brody Spurlock.
I was his only loss. Yeah.
Goddamn.
But he asked me the right questions after the match. He goes, how would I have won? What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong, but you sideboarded sinks and fates. And he goes, yeah, shouldn't I? I go, no. Out aggro me. Make me scared. Because you're like, that deck goes off. And he beat another Dory later in the day and came up and told me. Like, he's adaptable, which
He
is
is.
why he'll be good. Like,
Yep, he'll never play Levia. He wants adaptability.
but what I'm saying is, you can't just test Dory with someone that can play the deck. Same as Levia. If you're going to test into Levia, you shouldn't grab that deck when you've never got reps in it. Like, yes, you'll be able to pull out some lines if you're a good player, but it's different if I test Levia into you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean?
Of course. I am that person. You are that person. I am that person.
Yeah, and Dory, I'm one of those people. I'm not. I don't believe I'm high level, but it's definitely like I've got 1,000 reps in that deck. That's a deck I can at least tell you what you did well and not well into me as a how I felt during certain hands. Which just your friend on Talisha grabbing a Dory deck that top 8'd and playing it doesn't mean anything. I don't think. Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. Yeah, are we getting another guest tonight? How's that going? Our next guest should be Matthew, folks. We'll tease the next episode. It just depends on whether he's here tonight or tomorrow.
I think probably tomorrow. It's getting late.
It's fine. We'll figure that out later.
I
Any last words?
Tomorrow.
Any shout-outs? Anything you want to share? I mean, obviously, subscribe to Sant, the YouTube channel. You're on Twitter.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I mean...
Patreon?
Yeah, I have a Patreon, but...
And the Legal Levia Discord. Find the link.
Sure.
By the way, you should find the link out of whether you want to ever play Levia, but also to learn how Levia plays. Like, this is probably a good idea if you're a good player or want to be competitive, just to see what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And as far as we know, hey, maybe she even gets this Fabled slot, so maybe she's met
is that the rumor? Is that
I hope it's the
You're
reality.
definitely the only in first person saying it before the set comes out, so we'll see. You could be right. I think we might find out on Thursday. I have a feeling.
Ooh.
Well, they're opening a case on Thursday. And as you know, with Dynasty, the Rainbow Foil Fable is fairly common compared to like the Cold Foil one. So opening a case tells me there's product there, tells me maybe they'll do like a pre-release Chaos draft or something this weekend.
You mean at Worlds they're opening this?
Yes, on Thursday at the banquet, there's a case
wow.
of Dynasty being opened by Fabled Hunters and Fab Unsealed, Saint and
Why not you?
Chris.
What happened here?
Moving on.
Touchy? Okay.
Yeah, very touchy, actually.
Sure.
Look, I wasn't booked for Worlds till last minute.
Okay,
That probably plays into. Also, I got a spoiler. It's fine.
Excuses. So before we
Yes.
wrap this up, one word of advice for a Timmy out there that maybe plays Bolton but's been eyeing off Levia and they want to start playing Levia. What one bit of advice?
Step one, call it Levia. What's the second step?
I was about to crack that.
Come on.
I was
a
waiting.
tangible piece of advice. Just one little nugget.
They'll kick you out of the
right.
Discord.
One little nugget.
I'd say if you really want to pick up Levia and you're serious about giving her a chance, then play her not to win, but play her to just do your best to make the game long enough that you've just learned something instead of just gotten frustrated out of your loss. Because Levia is a deck that you're going to lose a lot more on than any other hero, because she can't really just like, oh, I won, like I drew the good cards. Like that doesn't really happen because it's just not, you're not Fi. Like that's the reality, sorry. But you will learn a lot from your losses. And if you get frustrated, it's going to cloud your takeaway, and you're just going to blame it on things that you might think are variance that were actually just incorrect decisions that didn't actually make the least variance outcomes possible, because it definitely should always be your overarching goal. So when you're playing Levia, just, be content losing, but also look for actual learning moments instead of blaming the deck.
Great advice.
That'd be it.
Well, there you go.
All right, guys.
Thank
we'll
you,
see
Ethan.
Soon.
Best of luck for Worlds.
Thank you.
We'll see you on those top
Best luck
tables.
to you too. Me and Bolton.
Hopefully we're in a draft pod together, baby. That'll be fun.
I'm a screwed up. But okay.
Hey, just force fire, heal force fire. Your pod will be shit.
Oh, God.
All right, guys. See you on the next one.
See ya.